Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be learning how to create or how to add skeleton loaders to your website. Now here I have two cards which are being displayed, but let's say I refresh the page. So initially we have the skeleton loaders which give me some hint that we have two cards, and then the cards have some content in them. And then when it loads, it just shows the content right away and then removes the skeleton loader. So this is very helpful. Now, if I were to show you a use case, let's just go to youtube.com. And then here, you see these. So these basically are, let's say I type in something. So these basically are the skeleton loaders. You see those white grayish cards that you see. So what it does is basically it enables the user to know that some of the cards will be displayed. So while the data is getting loaded, they just display those skeleton cards. If I were to reload, you see the image here has the glowing effect along with the lines of text, heading, and also the footer. Okay, so we're going to be building this in this video. Hope this is fun. Hope you know how to add this in any website after watching this video. If you find this video helpful, make sure you share this video with your friends and family, and do subscribe if you haven't already, and also turn the notifications bell. The source code of this would be down in the description, along with the link to the deployed site where I have deployed this. So yeah, with that being said, let's get started and let's learn how to build this. So here I am in my folder with the name of skeleton loading. Now here I have two images for the cards, and then I have this index.html file and then style.css. Now nothing special in the style.css. We have the railway font along with EB Garamond, and then I've set the box sizing to border box, and then I've removed the default margin and padding, and I've set it to 0. Now in the index.html file, I have just a broiler template which you can get by hitting exclamation and enter. And then I've also linked the style.css file, and I have added the CDN for remix icon, since we're going to be needing the remix icon. Now, so if you don't know how to get the remix icon, so you can come here in your browser and you can just type remix icon cdnjs, and then the first link that opens up, you're gonna click onto that, and then here you have two options. Either you can get the CSS or you can get the minified version. So what I did is I got this minified version by clicking here, which lets me copy the code and then I can paste it here. Okay, now, so before showing you the skeleton, I just want you to show the demo. So here I have opened YouTube. Now if I reload the page, you'd see some grayish cards. So this is essentially how you handle the skeleton loading. You basically show the users that some of the content will be filled in these areas where the skeleton loading is being shown. Something like this. Okay. Now, here what we're going to do is first we're going to create a section. Let's give it a class with the name of content. And then we're going to have two types of cards, just to show you how you can have different types of skeleton in case if you have some text. So the first card would be card BG, when we're going to have the background image. And then the second one would be text, when we have some bunch of text along with some image. Now, since we have this card BG, we can essentially add the background image directly here with the style tag. Now the reason for adding it here instead of CSS is because let's say you have multiple card BGs. Now if you add the background in the CSS, then this background would get added to all the card BGs that you have. But if you just add the background image as a style attribute in the tag itself. So only that specific card BG would have the specific image that you want to set as the background. So here what we're going to do is we're going to have a card body, when we're going to have a card header, and then inside of paragraph I'm going to just paste in the text. And then we have a card location, when we're going to add the map icon along with the location, which is this. And then we're going to have a card footer, wherein we're going to add a p tag, and then here we're going to set the price and then some text as well. And then we have the rating. So for the rating, we're going to add a rating div, and inside of that we're going to add the rating. And the card text, we have a card image on top, so we're going to add a card image div, and then inside of that we're going to add the image tag. And then we have the card body, which has the card header just like this card, and then the card rating here, which is this. Now I tried to keep the class common as much as possible so that it is easier to style, and then the same class, so that we can have the same classes used in both of these cards. So now we're going to add the location, same as the above. I'll just paste in, and then now we have the card content, when we're going to have some bunch of text in paragraph tag. So I've just pasted that. And then for the footer of this card text, we're going to have an HR, so that we have the line on top, and then we have the card footer, and then we have p tag, and then inside of this we paste in the pricing. And then we also need an anchor tag so that we can book. So we have the anchor tag which says book now. So we're essentially done with the CSS, the HTML part. Now in the CSS, let's style the body. We're going to give a background. We're going to set the default font family as a railway. And then since we have one, I'll just remove this section. Since we only want the cards to be displayed at the center, and then directly inside of the body we have one element, which is this. So we can just set it at the center using display grid place content to center. And then now I'm going to target the section. We're going to give it height and width of 100 viewport height and 100 viewport width. And then we're going to add display flex, justify content to center, and align items to center so that the cards are at the center. Now let's see how this is looking so far. So this is how it looks. We need some more styling. We need some resizing and stuff so that we can see it coming into shape. And then we also need some gapping between both of the cards. So we're going to set gap of 50 pixels. Now the card that we have, we're going to set height to 600 pixels and width to 300 pixels. And then overflow to hidden. Then display flex with flex direction to column. Let's save. So now it kind of is coming into shape, and we can see where our cards will be laid down. So here we have it, and then we're going to add a box shadow. So we're going to have 5 pixels, and 30 and then 30 pixels of the spread, and then this RGB color. Now, and then we're going to set it on the top and left side as well. So we're going to have this negative value here, and then same color, and then same spread. The color, I've just reduced the opacity by 1. So we have 0.1 here, and then here we have 0.2. Let's save and let's see. This is how it looks. Also, we'd add kind of like a subtle background border. So we have this border 1 pixel solid, and then this alpha value of black. Now we're going to target the card BG. We're going to set the background size. The background is defined here, and then the background size we're defining here. So background size cover, we don't want any repeat. So we're going to set background repeat to no repeat. And then the position, the image position, we're going to set left from the x-axis, and then from the y-axis, we're going to set it as bottom. And then the color for the text is this. Let's save. Okay. Now the card image here, we're going to set the height to 60 pixels, overflow to hidden, something like this. And then the image, we're going to set height width to 100%. And then also we want to kind of scale it a bit, and then also we want the object fit to contain. Now if you look here, the image is kind of stretched, so we need the object fit to cover, and then also we're going to scale it up a bit. So we're going to write 1.2 here. Now the header, now this card header is common for both of the cards, so we're going to set display flex justify content to space between. Basically the content that we're going to have along with the heading, we basically want spacing so that both of the content gets pushed to the two edges. And then align items to center. Okay. And then the paragraph inside of the header, we're going to set the font family as EB Garamond. By default, if it doesn't work, then you can go back to sans serif. Font size to this, font weight, and then the footer, and also the card body, we're going to set padding of 20 pixels. Let's save. So this is how it looks. Now the card body, we're going to set margin top of auto. Let's save. So it comes down here. And then the card location, we want to decrease the font size, also add some opacity, and then font weight to 500. Margin block, basically top and bottom, and then also word spacing. Let's save. So this is how it looks. Now the icon here, we're going to set the font size. So we're going to increase the font size a bit, and also margin right of 5 pixels. Let's save. Okay. And then the footer, which is this one, we set display flex, align items to center, and then same justify content to space between, so that we have this as one element, this as another element. So both of them kind of gets pushed, and then one is on the left corner and then another is on the right corner, basically taking the entire space available. And then also font size, want to reduce the font size a bit. Let's save. So this is how it looks. Word spacing to 2 pixels. Let's save. Okay. Now the card content, we're going to set the font size to this, line height, text align to left, word spacing to 2 pixels, font weight to 600, opacity, margin top. Let's save. Yeah, looks neat. Now the card text and card location, we're going to set the opacity to 0.6. Let's save. Okay. And font weight to 600. Now the footer that we had, I'm going to set the margin top of auto so that it is at the bottom, just in case. And then the card text, card header, the paragraph, okay, paragraph, I'm going to set this one basically. It says Bohemia, Suits, and then Spa. So here we're going to set the width to 10 characters, and then the HR, we're going to reduce the opacity and set 0.6. Let's save. Okay, so we're done with basically the design. Now the rating is left. Now for the rating, since this is going to be circular in shape, so I'm going to set width and height to 50 pixels. And then since we have only one element, so we can add it at the center using display grid, place content to center. And then since it's going to be a circle, so I'm going to set border radius to 50%. And then the border would be 1 pixel solid of this color. Now this green is everywhere, but then also I'm going to set the color to this green. So for this card, which is the card BG, the rating needs to have a border color of white, and also the color, the font color needs to be white as well. So I'm going to save that. So with that, we're done with designing the cards. Now the only thing that is left is this anchor tag. So we're going to set the font size, text decoration to none, font weight, color. Let's save. Okay. Now we're going to need to start with the skeleton. Now what actually happens is, so before the elements get loaded, you basically have a different kind of container which displays all the different skeletons. Okay. So we need to create another section wherein we're going to have same 2 cards, but then those cards won't have any text content, but instead they would have the skeleton design, which will get shown when the page is, when the contents are getting loaded, but not loaded yet. So what I'll be doing is, let's add the section. We're going to set the class as section loader. So we're going to have same 2 cards, so card BG, And here we're going to have a skeleton header, since we need the header for this, skeleton footer for this. Okay, and then we're not basically focusing on this location, since we would only focus on having a giant div here and then one div here, basically 2 rectangles here, showcasing that some text is here and then also down here as the footer. And then in the card text, we'd have the skeleton image for this image, and then the skeleton header for this content. And then we'd have skeleton body, wherein we're going to have some skeleton lines just to showcase that we have some lines of text here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. Now you can add as many as you want, but in this case, I'll just add 4 lines. And then skeleton footer, okay, for the footer. Now you won't be able to see anything, just you would have these 2 skeletons underneath here. So what I'm going to be doing is here, let's target the header, footer, and the image. We're going to set the width. So the width would be 100% minus 40 pixels, since we have padding on the left and right. But then this image needs to take entire width, no padding, since if you look here, the image is taking the entire width and the paddings are not being added to the image. So we're going to style it separately in the skeleton image. And then also we need to add the height to 60 pixels. Now the image would have a different height, but I've just added here a kind of a general height, but then we're going to target the skeleton image separately and we're going to add it, we're going to give it a different height. Now the background needs to have a linear gradient background with 90 degrees. So this is the first color, which takes up to 25%, and the second color, and this the third. And then the background size is 200% from X and then 100% from Y. And then we're going to have an animation, loading animation. So the glowing effect that you see, this glowing effect that you're seeing, is basically what we're doing is we basically changing the background size basically, or you could say the background position. So the animation would be loading, and we're going to set 1 second, and this needs to continue for infinity as long as the content isn't loaded. And then also the margin inline, so left and right, needs to be auto. Okay, let's save. Now let's add the animation. So we're going to call it loading, and so we're going to have 2 starting points. So one is 0%, and then the ending point, which is the 100%. So when it starts, so this is the 0%, and then when it ends, this is the 100%. So when it begins, you want the background position to be 200% from the X, and from the Y, we don't really need to focus on Y, so we can just set it as 0. And then when it ends, basically when it reaches 100%, you want the background position to be minus 200% from X, and then from Y, you can just keep it as 0. Let's save. You can see. So this is basically the glowing effect that the skeleton loaders have. Now the image, so this image needs to take entire width. So we're going to set the height to 50%, okay, and width to 100%, okay. So this is basically the heading and the footer. The margin bottom to 20 pixels, and then the skeleton body, we're going to set the flex scroll to 1, and then the background color to this, padding to 20 pixels, so the body needs to have padding, okay. And then the footer, we're going to set margin bottom to 20 pixels, okay. And then the skeleton lines that you see, so we're going to set 20 pixels height, margin bottom of 10 pixels, and the background color, same linear gradient here, 90 degrees. So this is the first color taking 25%, second one 50%, then 75%. And the background size 200%, 100%, animation loading 1 second infinity. Let's save. So this is how it looks. Now for the card BG, the skeleton header, this header needs to come down somewhere here. So if you see here, the content is down somewhere here. So this header also needs to come here somewhere. So we're going to target the skeleton header. We're going to set margin top of auto margin bottom of 60 pixels, height of 120 pixels. Let's save. So done. Okay, now, so when the page loads, you don't really want to show these two cards. You basically first want to show the skeleton, and then when the content gets loaded, you basically want to show these cards, and then you want to hide these skeletons. So here we need to add our script. Now inside of the script, we're going to set window on load. Basically when the browser loads, we're going to set a function, or we basically want to fire a function. Now this function, first we're going to need to grab our loader and then the content. So for the loader, we're going to set, we're going to grab both of these by using query selector. So loader we're going to get from skeleton loader, which is this. And then for the content, we're going to have the section with the class of content, this. Now, the content, initially, what will happen is the content.style.display would be none. So basically, we don't want to show the content. Now, so we're not fetching the data from any database or any API. So the content is directly available in our local machine. So so as soon as you reload, you would see the content right away. So what I'll be doing is I'll be adding a set timeout, or kind of like an interval, so that after 200 or 2 seconds, basically, so the loader would go away, and then you would see the content. So initially the content would be not displayed, so we're going to set the display as none, and then the loader would be shown, so we're going to have the loader as display flex. So we're going to set a set timeout. So after some interval of time passes by, this would get called. So what would happen is when this function gets called, it calls a function inside here which sets the loader as none, and then the content that we had as flex. And then here we have the time duration. So 2000 means 2 seconds. Let's save. So initially it shows the loader for 2 seconds, and then the content gets loaded. So yeah, this is it, guys, for the video. I hope you guys learned how to add skeleton loaders to your website. Make sure to comment down below what you liked about this video, and if you have used skeleton loaders, do let me know in the comments where you have used it. And if you find this video interesting, and if you think that this video is helpful and will be beneficial to many of your friends as well, do share this video. And so the source code is down in the description, so you guys can download that. So with that being said, we're done for today. Meet you guys in the next video. Till then, bye bye. Have a good day.